Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today I'm going to be talking about honor play. Specifically, honor play, honor playing, and honor players. Okay? So what do I mean by this? So honor play is a little bit challenging to define, so I'm going to talk about it, what prompted it, and what its opposite is, okay? All right, so I play in 2 TCG leagues every single week. I play in Friday Night Magic with my older son, and I play in Pokemon, the Pokemon TCG League, the Pokemon Trainer League, which is, collectible card game. Both of these are collectible card games. Friday Night Magic is Magic the Gathering. Pokemon is the Pokemon collectible card game, and we play in a weekly league for both of these. I play Magic the Gathering with my older son once a week. On Friday nights, and on Sunday afternoons, I play Pokemon CCG League. And both of these are great. They're organized play. They're free. They're a community. We have friends there. And I mean a lot of friends. And it's kind of like Norm. When an old Cheers reference there. When we roll in, people know us. We're greeted well. We greet people when they come in. It's a community. It's a wonderful thing. And they're free. They're free. Yeah. I have 4 kids, so I'm trying to, make sure I have what's needed for all of them to go to college. And, so I'm money conscious. And it's really great to get these levels of play for free, for nothing, right? But both of these leagues have the same problem. They have the same problem. And I think this problem also exists far beyond CCGs. It exists in the board game community, and it exists in pretty much in the miniatures wargaming community. It exists in a lot of communities, and it's a very modern problem. It's a problem that has been created by the internet, right? Now, the internet is a wonderful thing. I love the internet, right? But it's on us as modern citizens to determine when we stop using the internet and do not use the internet for a thing, okay? And this is a real choice we need to make. It's very important. I absolutely do not think that anybody should change what anybody is posting on the internet. We as people need to choose when to use the internet and when not to use the internet, right? And this is a choice of when not to use the internet. So here's what happens. When we go into Magic Gathering on Friday night, it'll be like 6:15, and we're waiting. The play starts at 6:30, and somebody will say to somebody else, "Hey, what are you playing there?" And the one guy will say to the other guy, he'll say, "I'm playing Tax Rack," okay, or he'll say, "I'm playing Miracle Grow," or "I'm playing Affinity." Okay, now all 3 of those are names of decks. Okay. Now, what do I mean by a name of a deck? It's not the name that the person who is playing it gave it. These are decks that have been played in the World Champions, usually the year before, or in the latest regionals, and people saw them on the internet, and they gave those decks names. Maybe the person who created it made those names. And these players who, and the one guy goes, "Oh yeah, Affinity, I like that build. I play that with this card or that card." And they're talking about tweaks, right? Now, the players that have this conversation where they say, "Here's the name of my deck," right? And it's not a name that I gave it. It's a name that everybody else calls it. And I can tell it to you, and you know every card in the deck because you have also watched those same regionals and looked at the meta. These players talk about the meta a lot. They'll say, they'll talk about the meta of the game. And what they mean by the meta is these are all the decks that have been played at the professional level. And actually, especially in Magic the Gathering, there really are professional players. There are players who are on a circuit and they are playing to win money every single week and every single month. And some of these players, this is what they do all year, right? This is their job, right? And so what these players do is they watch online the decks that are doing well, and then they build those decks. And you'll also hear that talk. You'll say, "Oh, I'm building Affinity right now," which means they're trading and they're buying to get the cards they need for these decks, right? And they're spending a ton of time and a ton of effort to build decks that they did not create. This is the saddest most least form of play, and it is the opposite of honor play. Now, I would say this is a key element of honor play. I would rather lose with my own deck than win with somebody else's deck. That's the start of honor play. That's what an honor player believes. And when that player is playing a deck that they created that has no name but the name they gave it because it's so custom, because they didn't watch the regionals, right? And they don't know the decks, the top decks, right? That is honor playing, okay? So, and honestly, I will say with honor play comes a lot of loss, right? The reason people go and they stick to the meta, air quotes, the meta, right? The reason they play decks that are named by people other than themselves, the reason they struggle to get, dozens of cards to copy a deck that they didn't build and then win with it is because they're not honor playing. They're playing. Now, I am very tempted to say that what they're doing is wrong, but I know better. It's not wrong. It's not wrong, okay? So if you're not honor playing, what you're doing isn't wrong, okay? But it is lesser. It is lesser play. And right now, you're exhibiting lesser thinking. If you're playing the meta, if you're just playing, right? Now, Pokemon CCG has exactly the same problem, okay? But, there, it's real, Pokemon community, the Pokemon CCG community is really interesting because you have kids who play, a lot of kids, right? And I would say the Pokemon CCG split is 40% junior high and below, and then 60% are, high school and above aged, right? And so that, and those kids down below, man, they don't care about, they're not going to play a deck that has a name, right? Unless that is it's a self-named deck. They might call it, Blue Ivysaur, or whatever, and that's going to be a name that they applied, right? And so that's my point is, I'm talking about honor play and being an honor player. And I will tell you right now, I do lose more than I win a lot at Magic the Gathering. And the reason why is every week I'm, the way I go to Mythic Spoilers and I look at all the new cards that are coming out, right? And then I look at the player across from me and I see what he's running. And if he has a card that's in my color base and he's beating with me with it, I might buy it and put it into my deck, right? And I look to build my deck. I look at what's being played there at my league, right? And I look at the cards themselves, and I also, the number one source of the combinations that are in my deck are when I read those cards on Mythic Spoiler, I'm going to say, okay, I think this will combine with that. And that's it. It's just me, right? And invariably, I'm not as good as somebody who's dedicated their life to playing Magic the Gathering. But here's the thing. Here's why I'm talking about honor play today, and honor players and honor playing. The reason why is honor play is good for your community, the community you're in, whether that's a board game community, a miniature war game community, whether it's a CCG community, right? Any of those things, right? When you are building your own deck and thinking on your own, and you're bringing a deck that you created, right? You're encouraging others to say, I reject the meta. I reject watching the best players and copying their deck. And that's good for the entire community, because what it means is it's far more embracing of casuals, right? It also means that, people get to use their own brains rather than their wallet and their copying skill, and that means that everybody in your community, their logic improves, and their ability to solve problems improves. And then also there's room to talk, right? Like, so when you're playing decks that have a name, you're just tweaking, right? Whereas if you're building something from the ground up, man, that's where conversation between two community members really lies, and where it can be fun and exciting and useful, right? And so I'm calling all players out there to honor play. Start losing with me, right? And I'm not going to lie. You're going to lose. You're going to lose a lot more than you do right now, right? But I'll tell you right now, when you win with your own deck, that's a source of joy. When you win with somebody else's deck, I think your shriveled Scrooge heart will have a bit of joy. But what are you taking joy in? The fact that you were able to buy and copy somebody else's deck? It's small. It's lesser play, right? And I'm calling everyone to the higher form of play, honor play. So let's be honor players and let's start honor play. Thank you.